Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Take This Online with me, DigitalHoos. Great guest today. We have someone who I connected with because her background seemed very interesting to me. The fact that what was most interesting was the fact she was in recruitment and she was especially like specializing in LinkedIn, which is quite interesting. And then from within like 20 minutes of actually meeting up with her, she actually gave me so much value to the point is right after the meeting, I went home and I did a lot of changes on my LinkedIn. And already was very productive, I think. So obviously there was so much value coming there, so I really appreciate that. I let her know right away, of course. We have Isabelita Castilho. Hey.
Hello.
Thanks for coming. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for bringing me here. I'm very excited to be here and give a very nice message for everybody.
No, yeah, honestly, like I said, remember I texted you, I think the day after or something, I said I took your advice and I already changed like the title, I did some changes, and obviously looks better the second I did it.
Well, that's really exciting to me, and really I get this goosebumps, every time I get that kind of message, and people say, oh, I applied, or sometimes it was just a conversation, it was not even a session with anyone, and I feel like, wow, this is the right thing to do, because it really comes more from the heart than anything else.
I completely agree. So before we get into everything you're doing now, I'd like to know about a bit of the history. Okay. So, what did you study at university?
Okay, so basically,
a little bit
of background. I'm originally from Brazil. I actually always had friends coming to me and telling me, oh, Isabelita, can you help me do my CV? Or I have a job interview, I know you're good in talking with people, so how do you think I can prepare? Or what's the best way to position myself? Or how do I answer questions that I'm a bit concerned about answering when I move jobs? Did I get fired? Or what about if I did? And how do you do that? So based on that, it became something natural for me to feel like somehow I was inclined to this.
Yeah.
And with time, I said, okay, I want to work with recruitment. So it took me a bit of time actually to get the door open.
Okay.
Like for many people, they say, well, I want to do my passion, but I have no experience. And then what do you do about it? You keep knocking doors.
Yeah.
You're going to get very low offers sometimes, but sometimes it's the way to start doing your passion. So end up that I had this, huge passion for being, the country, experience different cultures. And then I always had the dream about coming to Dubai. Okay, I lived in quite a few countries, but ultimately I ended up in Dubai. That's been since 2011.
Okay.
And eventually I did get the opportunity to work with recruitment.
Okay, that's awesome.
More on the executive search side, which means you don't actually filter the CVs that you receive. Instead, you have to go and headhunt, literally.
Yes.
So that's how I started learning much more about what it takes for you to be actually found, to be actually contacted for a job. And so that's basically how I started on the executive search side, on headhunting side.
Okay, interesting.
Then I realized there was a huge need, a huge deficit of not having anybody advising these people. So I would interview these people, I would make my report, send to the client, and then not be able to give them a proper feedback because unfortunately you're not allowed to give them proper feedback. Sometimes it could be the nationality. You can tell people, sorry, the client doesn't want your nationality, and then how do you do with that? You're not allowed, you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
It can be very serious consequences. So then I said, but they still need some advice. It could be the CV, it could be the projection. It's all about how you project.
Yeah.
You could even say you're fired, but how do you say that? How do you express that? How did you deal with that? What did you learn from that? That makes a whole difference. So not that you need to lie. So I realized, let me meet with these people. It was so unfair to leave them without understanding.
Okay.
So I started doing this on the side as like...
Oh, so it wasn't something you had to do, you wanted to do?
Yes, I wanted to
That's
do.
So
I
cool.
wanted to do. And people would come back and say to me, Isabelita, you're so approachable, you're friendly. Why don't you go for a coffee with me? Give me a little bit more of insight. Or if you cannot talk about that job that I was not, I was not able to go for the interview, it's okay, I respect, but give me some advice. I said, okay, let's have a coffee, And I love networking, so who knows me knows that. So I went for coffee with people, and then I realized, wow, this is becoming like a regular thing.
Yeah.
Until eventually I started getting recommended. Why don't you write a book about it?
Oh, wow, okay.
I said, that could be something very interesting because ideas, imagination, or even so many experiences with so many people, it's hard to tell everybody. So if you put in a book, if you put a sequence about, you give some guidance, I said, that looks very exciting. So that was in my mind. When I realized I was just writing a book.
Yeah.
So it was a really big thing for me. Everything is written from my heart. and from experience and from really true advice. And you can see the language is very casual, so it's definitely me talking.
No, it's a very easy read. I read a few chapters. It was quite easy to read. Can we differentiate between a recruitment or a talent acquisition and headhunter?
Absolutely, and this is very, very important.
Yes.
If you know the difference, you know how to approach.
Yes.
It's a different mindset.
Okay.
It's like talking to different cultures or different type of level of seniority. So when you're talking to recruitment companies, that they are posting the jobs. Okay. Those are more the recruitment companies, which they deal with contingency type of mandates. Basically, what does that mean? That means that they only get paid the contingency, the volume recruitment, if the client hires that candidate. So for them, they post the job. As more people has come to them, it looks okay. That's okay to go for them because they actually posting because they need people to come to them. So it's fine.
But it's like a volume game.
It's a volume game. It's a volume game. And we'll talk about how we dribble that, how we jump that queue of 1,000 people applying for the job. Okay? Now, when it comes to executive search, it's basically on the C+ level. C-suite meaning CEOs, CCO, or any chief executive or general manager, sometimes board members, even sometimes a little bit less than that.
Like head of department
or directors. It depends on what the client wants to pay an executive search firm to headhunt for. Now, the difference about this, it's extremely crucial for those people to be aware that because the jobs are not posted, there is a reason.
Yeah, because they don't want volume.
Yeah. They don't want people who are looking.
Interesting.
That's very...
Okay, that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's very
very interesting.
Because it's unfair as well, you know. I find like, wow, that's so unfair. I had cases where I had an amazing, top-notch candidate for the client. He really cut every single tick. So from my side, I was excited when I approached him. I said, would you be open to discuss? He said, of course, I'm actually looking for a new job. I'm not currently working. I said, great. So let's have a conversation. And then we interview him, me and my consultant, which was more senior than me. And when it comes to making a decision, are we going to refer him or not? Suddenly my consultant tells me, sorry, we cannot recommend him. I said what? He's fantastic. What's wrong with you? You know? He said, because he said he's looking. And that's
so
what the clients don't want when they pay us in advance, because that's the difference. Executive search, clients will pay a percentage of the yearly salary.
In advance,
In advance, which can be broken in 3 parts. So when you start searching, when you present a number of candidates, and then lastly, if they hire, they pay the third portion.
Wow, interesting.
But it's based on the yearly salary. So what they do, because they invest so much, they say, if somebody's looking, that means they're not that good. Either they would be already taken, either they would be very satisfied, which honestly, it's unfair. Right?
Yeah.
So how do you do that? When you are a senior executive, so you have to play the game.
So to find someone who already has a job, who's not looking, but that client wants this kind of person, you have to find a way to entice him to change his job.
Exactly.
Wow.
And even sometimes they will say, they must come from this kind of a degree, specific university, specific 1 or 2 nationalities, or very specific accomplishments.
Wow,
so it becomes quite tough. So
I'm sure it makes your life a lot harder.
Yes, and some headhunters, they are, for me, I always, let's be honest here, I cheated a bit. Okay, I said, you know what? If he's looking, no worries for me, because I know he's good, as if somebody who's not looking. But I have to kind of, find my way to tell him, don't mention that.
Okay.
But when it comes,
we rebrand.
Yeah, that's why I said that's not for me, because I will not be following not to consider people who are looking, because if they are good, so many things could happen in life, right? Restructuring companies or politics all the time.
Of course.
And then we're gonna say this guy is not good.
Yeah, wow.
So that doesn't make any sense.
That's so interesting.
So it's a way to, how do you then, it's a different mindset. You still have to search, but the way you search for a job is very differentiated. It's how you approach. So now we have contingency, recruitment volume, where somebody posts a job. There is a way to act on that. And you have the executive search firm, where the hidden jobs, that's are the hidden jobs. They are holding the hidden jobs, those headhunters, So how do you find the hidden jobs without coming across as if you're looking?
Wow, okay.
So it's a big trick. So if you learn this at first, then you're able to project yourself correctly.
But can a person even approach a headhunter, since a headhunter can't even disclose if he has a job or not?
Of course.
Okay.
It's different ways to do that.
Okay.
So going back to executive search firm.
Yeah.
So an executive, he will have first to make himself known, to be found,
Sure.
or he must have such a perfect LinkedIn profile
Mm-hmm.
that when a headhunter is doing his search on LinkedIn and everything is through LinkedIn, doesn't matter which company they're going to use LinkedIn to headhunt.
For sure.
Okay, so that he will be found on that search. So for example, headhunter is going to put keywords. Okay, let's say has to be an executive, has to have a F&B background. He must have experience in certain kind of sectors. So there is a way to search on LinkedIn for that. Okay.
Yeah.
If he appears on that search, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
He's already in the results. Doesn't mean necessarily he's going to be the first one to be contacted.
Sure.
Right? So a lot of things make it him be outlining from the rest of the crowd. So for instance, the headline, if you have a right headline, then the headline will call attention to be the first one to be contacted. And headline means what's your impact. So it's not just saying I'm a general manager. General manager is so vague, so general.
That's true.
But general manager, give more idea. What do you bring as a general manager? What's your value? You know, and of course indicate if you are in F&B, if you are in somewhere else. So find a slogan of yourself, a summary of yourself in 120 characters, which is the space that LinkedIn gives you for the headline, and conclude yourself. So when somebody looks at the headline, they will say, oh, I know what this guy does just by his headline, and he could be the one.
True.
The other way is identify executive search firms. Go in Google first, okay, that are in your industry or the industries you want to work for. So when you identify those headhunting firms, go on LinkedIn, do a search. So find those headhunters. Identify who are the headhunters who are looking for senior executives in that specific industries. Send a request to connect. Simply send a request to connect, nothing else. When you're trying to connect with somebody on LinkedIn, there are so many reasons. They can't say you're looking for a job just because you're sending me a request to connect.
Yeah.
But you could be connecting. Many executives will say, well, I just want to network with headhunters. I like to, meet, network, understand my value also. Many of them want to understand their value in the market. Or many of them want just to exchange some insights, gain some more, information what's happening out there in this market. So not necessarily they're looking for a job. So the headhunter cannot immediately say you were looking. And of course, for a headhunter, what matters is not really, even if he has an idea, he might be looking because he's trying to connect with me, he's not going to judge you from that. Now, when he approaches you, if you are an executive, says, thank you for connecting with me, I do have something I would like to discuss with you, then how do you project that?
Okay.
You don't say, yes, please, immediately. It's a little bit, I love to compare to the dating game.
Yeah.
The dating game is you don't immediately say, yes, I'm available, let's go out right now. Yes, I also like you, come on. You break that enchantment, right? So when a headhunter approaches an executive and says, thank you for connecting, I would like to discuss with you about an opportunity, he can take some time. He doesn't need to answer immediately. Give it at least a few hours, right? Don't show I'm immediately available. I couldn't wait until you connected with me because it becomes too obvious, and simply say, well, sure, I'm not currently looking for any opportunity. Thanks for approaching. Why don't we have a coffee network? Maybe I can help. Done. There's so many ways you can offer help. And if the headhunter says, okay, nice person or maybe looking for a job, again, is the projection. You keep up at the level, you keep it, you never know. Maybe one day I would be open to. Maybe it's a company
For the future,
yeah, maybe the company that you have to talk to me about could be the company of my dreams.
Sure.
So that, of course, I would possibly consider. So doesn't mean I'm looking. So what's the most important for the senior executive is never to say, yes, I'm looking, or approach and say, thanks for connecting because I'm looking for a job. Then you lose it right there.
Interesting.
So it's basically connect, dating game. Guys know how to do that. So please follow this rule. Don't ever come across as desperate. As more as you come across as desperate, as more as you lose it. Because there's no value, right? When somebody is desperate, there's no value. So this is for the executive search. Now, when it comes to recruitment, when they post the job, then benefit. Because if they are posted, first they are paying for that. It's expensive to post a job on LinkedIn.
Sure.
So it's, I would say from my own conclusion, not from any statistics, that 90% of the jobs that are posted on LinkedIn are real. You know, maybe 10% is just to say we're busy, we're using it as a marketing tool.
So it actually happens. I hear about that, but you never actually know if it's...
But you can never know.
Yeah.
So why would you not even give it a try, right? And at the end of the day, if it's a recruitment company, somebody applies for the job, they will get to know about you.
Sure.
So you get visibility, because the main thing is stay on the mind of everybody. You know, get visibility, make some noise on LinkedIn. When it comes to those job posts, now here is the thing. You saw a job that you like. You saw the description, everything is fine. First thing you identify, is that a job poster? Who posted this job? So 50% of the time they were gonna be there. If he's there, done, you found who is posting the job. If that recruiter is posting that job, that means he has a serious requirement to fulfill. He knows people will approach him. So you go directly to him, okay? Once you go directly to him, you simply, again, little bit of balance here, dating game, send a request to connect, simple. He accepted, wait some time, give maybe 2 hours at least, and say, he didn't come to you, he already saw you, who's viewed my profile, he saw you, guess what? You landed on his table. Your CV landed on his table from the moment that he's viewed your profile, he knows you exist. If your LinkedIn is strong, corresponding to that job post, for sure he's gonna be the one saying, thanks for connecting with me, by the way, I've checked your profile, we have an opportunity, would you like to discuss? Because it's fulfilling his KPI. He has a KPI to fulfill, he has that job to find the people. So you're making a favor, okay? Now if he doesn't contact you, he's viewed your profile, okay, that means maybe he didn't see exactly what he wanted to see, or maybe he didn't have a time to contact you, he puts you on the pipeline to contact you, but you can approach. So how do you approach? So you say, dear person, thank you for connecting with me, first accept it, wait for them to accept, to connect. The reason I'm approaching you, I've seen this job post, I've already applied for the job, so you click that button, whatever you did, I've already applied, I'd just like to confirm you have received it. Even if that was not really the intention to ask if he received it, but it's a good excuse to get his attention. So you're not sounding desperate, you simply ask him, would you be able to confirm? And I'm sure in the middle of so many applications, my application could have got lost. That's enough. If that recruiter comes back to you and he likes you, he's gonna take it from there. He's gonna consider you for an interview. If he doesn't respond, please guys, move on. It's just like dating again. Don't insist on that person. The person's not giving you attention, move on. There are so many people out there, whether it's for anything in life. The same about jobs, the same about recruiters. Insisting is the worst thing you do, because you start coming across as desperate. You start coming across, you have no other options. You start coming across as if it's about the job. You start coming across as if you're not busy enough, so you have time to keep following up with that person. And it becomes negative, and maybe you are an impatient person. They start creating labels on the person that become so negative that even if they would consider to approach, they would say, you know what, personality-wise, might not be a fit, because this person is pushy, insisting, they're not patient, and we need somebody patient, blah, 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 for this job. So be careful, whatever you do, you don't want to come across as removing any potentials to have that interview. So once you approach, the person saw who's viewed your profile, you already said, I would like to confirm you have received my application, leave it. Now, maybe after 3 days, you still think you're very strong for that role, and maybe that person got so overloaded also, they forgot about you. So how can you follow up? Different ways to follow up. So that's why LinkedIn is very important. If you click on their profile, just for visiting their profile, they will see who's viewed my profile. That's it. That's a follow-up without pushing, without coming across and following up. You could be checking their profile for so many reasons. So this is a way to remind them. And whoever is a recruiter, they will know, oh, this person is following up. But it's a classy way to follow up. Okay? Another thing that you can do. Now this is for any recruitment in terms of job posts. And the other thing is when it comes about finding the hidden jobs for the executives,
Yes.
executive search firm. So let's say that you know that whether it's for somebody who posted a job or whether it's for a headhunter who is in the industry, that those executives want to be considered for opportunities. So they posted something on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So check their profile, see what they have done. So maybe they wrote something, they wrote an article, or maybe they comment on somebody else's article, go in their activities, and see something that you can comment on, that you can talk about. If it's something that they wrote, everybody wants everybody else to comment,
Sure.
right? So it's something that they wrote, even better. Read fully, find something very nice to say. You identified yourself with that, or you really appreciate for the advice, or you really, wow, what a nice article you wrote. Thanks for bringing these insights. They will love you already differently than anybody else. Wow,
sure.
this guy is, and you're gonna bring visibility.
And I don't think that's just for if you're looking for a job. I think just in general, even for example, for salespeople, you know how many times I get approached by salespeople asking to come and sell me a product. I always tell them, like, you just connected with me just for this specific reason. I don't really want to. A lot of times, what I'm doing is I'm trying to help people. So I tell them, for example, listen, honestly, your approach was a bit wrong. Because I'm very active on LinkedIn. I'm like, if you just took 2 minutes and read one of my articles and then talked to me about it, I would have probably told you to do a meeting even without you asking, because you connected with me, right? Like the best salesman I ever met, who actually ended up being a friend of mine, was one that never tried to sell to me.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, that's the way, yeah.
But then honestly, we're friends still today. It's been like, I've known a guy for like, I don't know, 5 years now.
Yeah.
He never sold to me.
Yeah.
He used to come to me, this is back when I was agency, and he just wants to hang out.
Yeah.
And now we're friends. And then eventually, I gave him a lot of business from when I was in agency, because you know what, he really connected with me outside of other salesmen.
And see, this is very interesting what you said, because it brings back to me to mention something as well. So you've commented on those people LinkedIn the articles, or if you appreciated something about what they've done, so it brings attention. But also what you said is extremely key, and thanks for bringing this back to me. So when you write something of special content, and whatever you write that is related to your passion and to something you want to be involved with, to work with, that can bring value to people, people will appreciate. So first of all, they will appreciate, even if they do not comment. We don't know their reasons. Maybe they don't want to come across as they are in LinkedIn and they should be working, not because they don't appreciate, but you can see the number of views, this will make a difference, right? So when you write something of value, then people will definitely be remembering of you, including your recruiters you connected with, the headhunters you connected with, and eventually the potential hiring managers. That's very important to connect with potential hiring managers of companies you want to work for, even if you don't say anything, because they will say, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. Oh, he has a lot of expertise in the subject. It could be of value to us, to our team. So you want this visibility, you want to come across as an expert. Especially senior executives, please, I really beg you, make your time 3 times a week, or if not, minimum once a week, write something of content, of relevance that you can give without expecting back. So this happened to me recently. I think you probably saw an article I have written about how do executives find a job.
Yes, I see.
And I really wrote from full, like sometimes I have this inspiration, I'm not planning, I'm supposed to do something else, and I say, you know what, I want to write. Something burning inside of me, I want to write. I start writing it, just saying, you know what, let me give A to Z step, without expecting anything. I couldn't believe the number of people who approached me, and now I'm having clients, really returning so many clients. In 1 week, I was like, wow, and I had it was not my intention. So then I realized, wow, it's more proof of when you give unintentionally, and it's giving, not saying I'm gonna hide part of the information so they can come to me. No, give all the information, because people like you, they resonate with you, say, you know what, I understood now, but I wanted to help me put this in practice.
100%.
So if people do that, they will be bringing, like, definitely a lot of credibility to themselves.
For sure.
So for potential hiring managers, for recruiters who are out there recruiting, for headhunters who are out there headhunting, and then anybody else who wants just to network with you. And of course, networking is a beautiful thing, because you don't know what's going to come across from networking.
Very, very true.
You meet somebody, it could be anybody, but from the moment you meet a new person and you exchange a few words, you create a rapport, right? The rapport is extremely key, right? And rapport means simply talk from your heart, drop any guards. Sometimes it's so funny because, I even want to bring something now a little bit about the network. I see that's something that you also are so much into this. The other day, somebody sent me a request to connect, and that was actually Shaper. Shaper. Shaper goes to LinkedIn after, which is good. So who doesn't have Shaper?
What is Shaper?
I'll tell you separately about Shaper. Shaper is just an app that is a professional network app. But again, people use for all purposes, right?
Okay.
Just like LinkedIn, basically.
Yeah, interesting.
So what happened is somebody connected with me in Shaper, and I felt that the profile was interesting for networking. And when people mention network...
Oh, yeah, I do know. I actually downloaded it. I tried it, and I didn't find much use out of it.
Initially I didn't find the use, but if you keep up with eventually you see conversion.
Really?
In business, in jobs, it happened to me a few times. So it's just like being patient about it. It's not the most user-friendly app.
No, it's not.
But ends up that it could be worth it.
Yeah.
Okay. And even if it means you see a profile that's powerful to you, has any something that you can possibly have some interaction for, whether it's business, whether it's a job, or whether it's something else, you can go to LinkedIn, because LinkedIn always has this professional image, doesn't get any confusion, and then you can take it from there the way you want, right? So anyway, there's somebody, he's a business owner, he's I think from Uruguay, and he came across my profile in Shaper. We matched as professional network, and then suddenly I always like to know why people matched with me on Shaper. So I said, thank you for connecting, very interesting network, I can see that you're an entrepreneur, I'm interested in networking with entrepreneurs and learning more. And then I said, what about you? What brings to my profile? He said, I see that I have a lot to learn with you. I said, okay, you're most welcome. And that's very humble of you to tell me that, because you are already an entrepreneur, successful. He has, business offices in New York, in so many places in Uruguay. I said, wow, it's very humble of you to tell me you want to learn with me, but most welcome. Let's learn with each other. So would you like to schedule a Skype call? The guy disappeared. So I'm like, okay, what did go wrong, So you cannot know, but always tell people, be open-minded, you're not setting up a date, you're not trying to steal anyone. So if you're there to network, you're there to network, So I don't know, sometimes people will, different cultures, different mindsets, they'll interpret differently sometimes. So what I learned from that myself, that you can never be too excited as well. Because I'm usually an excited person. I usually love life. Of course, I have struggles like everybody else, but I'm so much in self-development that I managed to kind of say, this is not going to affect my well-being, whatever is happening around me. And I become an excited person by life. And then I think people might misunderstand that. And then I said, okay, so I need to always remember, we don't know what's the programming of that person. So it's just like, be a little bit more neutral initially. Always that balance between being humble, being positive, but at the same time, not coming across as somebody too dry, so they know what's the point in network. That's how you gain a better initial opening, and later on you develop with the rapport. Yeah. So yeah.
But you made a great point about content. I always try to. I try to be very active. Even for me, even if I'm not even looking for a job. For me, it's just I like to give value to others, and obviously I want to be situated as a key opinion leader in my industry. So I try to showcase my knowledge and I try to share. So either I'm posting about my podcast, which I try to bring value to people, or sometimes I find an article that I like, I'll post it and I'll add an insight of mine, or I write an article myself. So I try to post every day.
Very good.
I even have a notification that triggers on my phone every day that says post on LinkedIn.
Wow,
just so I remember.
That's very positive. I think this is the way. And one thing that, two things I would like to bring it up about this. I see a lot of people writing excellent content, and this is about business. This is about anything about being more positive in life. But then there is a trend that people end up bringing to themselves as everything is me, and they forget that the reason why they have their book or they have that the business, it's actually what value you're giving to your niche or to your crowd or to the people that you're speaking to. So when they forget that, because of course they become so self-consumed about, oh, look at me. It's good for them, it's great, it's very positive to have this self-image, but when you project too much is about me and what I've done and what I can do, they forget to include the people. So what I suggest is like when writing something, always, even if you can refer according to, today I was watching actually something in Gaia, and the guy was talking about energy and vibration, which I love. And then very interesting that although he's a doctor, he's a neuroscientist, sorry. It's still, he was able to, every time he would talk about something more in depth, he would actually refer back to, according to this book from this person, according to this doctor from this university. So that for me was like very humble, because he could simply talk about his topic, and forget that he learned from somewhere else as well.
Sure. So then what I like to do is I'll take an article, I'll actually put the link. I want people to find it's not even my article, because I found it useful. Like maybe someone else will find it useful. I always try to add my own insight. So maybe there's an insight I found that someone else, and I honestly, I found it really useful. And some people like it, some people don't.
Yeah.
But the people who do always say like I really appreciate it, because they get to read about it and then they learn something new, and then that's great.
And the way you do it, I actually read a few of the things you do. It is the way I believe it should be done, because you talk a casual language, which is extremely key. You know, sometimes when you read things that people go in their jargons of their industry,
You get lost.
People get lost and they think they're adding value, because again they're reflecting on their self-image about, look how much I know, how much I develop, which is great for them, but they have to convert, to translate that language in a clear way that people who are actually supposed to benefit from this message, they can understand whether they are an amateur or whether they're already an expert.
That's true.
So I think this is important. Of course, if it's an inspiration from you, then of course you're not going to refer back to according to somebody else, because it's your life experience or it's your own understanding of things that have worked so far and that you appreciate about what's happening out there. But what I mean is like, for instance, there are certain people on LinkedIn, okay? They are like some people in already, well established, let's say, entrepreneurial startups, especially the ones that are very successful startups, too soon. Then eventually they get, a bit absorbed about their own selves. And so when they make photos, when they make a video, it's all focused on them. What about, the message they're giving? So, what about the people they're talking to? What about whoever, a group of people, and then it's a photo of them, it's image, it's what they've reached themselves in their own personal development. So there must be a balance. Of course, it's important to give that message about how good you are, but you don't need to say those words, right? You can talk about facts, you can talk about things that you've gone through that led you to be where you are today or what you learned today, but avoiding too much about me, right? I think that's where there's a confusion about how much you have to have a perfect branding, personal branding, because credibility must be there. Credibility comes from reaching somewhere or knowing something that other people are benefiting from what you're talking about. And how much is about me as a person, how good I am. So it's a balance. Everything is a balance.
Is there anyone on LinkedIn that you just absolutely love their content, like a celebrity or like an influencer or a motivational? Because there's some really good. For me, my favorite person is Gary Vaynerchuk.
Oh my God, I was gonna
talk about him all the time. But why do I like him so much? Is because the content he posts, not just on LinkedIn, everywhere, is just very good. Obviously, he has a team. That helps him do it, but he started on his own. But I really like, and his content on LinkedIn is very cool. Even has little cartoons. I don't know if you see, he does these cartoon panels on LinkedIn that I absolutely love.
Look,
I really like his content.
I actually like so many people out there, to be honest, but nothing that I really see being posted frequently on LinkedIn. Now, if I have to make some justice for who I met and who I've read a few articles when it comes to headhunting, now I have to give the credit to a guy called Ronnie Tuma. So he works for a company, I hope he's listening, he's gonna listen to this. Really, he was an example for me of how do you position yourself as a senior leader, and how do you actually deal with people in terms of being humble while you're keeping your value. So he has some articles out there and I think he works for a very well, established executive search firm, which I really admire, which is Spencer Stewart. So I would say he comes to my mind. Ronnie comes to my mind. But I'm sure there are so many people out there. When it comes to celebrities, I also love Gary Vee.
Oh, he's awesome.
Oh, he's a killer. But I watch him much more on Instagram than on LinkedIn.
Okay, no, his LinkedIn game is quite good too.
Actually, there's one guy that, he has inverted commas, so many haters, but he taught me how to learn about when you have somebody that doesn't like what you do or think maybe that you're a little bit of too much or show off. He said those are the haters, right? And then he taught how to see in a different way those kind of people, whoever criticizes or whoever doesn't like your work or your style. He teaches how he made me change this perception. Instead of saying, oh, those people, why they do like that, that's mean, why they act like this. No, see them as something very positive. If somebody doesn't like or criticize you or finds that you're too much or show off, that means they really admire you, you know, because you're really bothering them because, you know, they really focusing on what you're doing. If you are not relevant or what you say is not relevant, then that means, you know, there's no importance. They don't even know you exist. So that's one of the things I learned with Tai Lopez. And I highly recommend TaiLopez.com.
I've known about Tai Lopez for a while, but I just don't know if he's legitimate or not. Because you get because I see all those haters and stuff. But I looked at his content. He makes some good content. I've heard that. But I always thought, like, is he legit? Is he real, or is it just a scam? Like, you don't know. There's so many of these motivational people out there.
See, people will talk, but I think it's about what resonates with you. So what I've done, the way, first I started seeing Tai Lopez a lot on YouTube.
Yes, that's right.
He caught my attention. Usually as soon as I see an ad in YouTube, I go and skip. I put in mute. I put in mute. I cover the screen with my hands and I don't want to be influenced. I don't want any marketing on me. But that day, for some reason, he caught my attention. The first 3 words maybe he said, his tone of voice was captivating for me. And I said, you know what, let me check more about it. And he gave really valuable content on YouTube that took me to buy his 69 Steps program. 69 Steps, it's 69 days, every day you have a topic. And Tai Lopez is really, really like good in being able to translate ideas. He's very clear about, he didn't create those concepts. Basically what he does, he reads so many books. He's so much into self-development that
he reads a lot. I got caught with his art. I got caught also on his YouTube because in his one, I think the first one he saw is he reads a book a day or something like that. And I love to read, so that really resonated with me. And I thought, but then I always didn't have a problem with it. But then like he has a lot of haters. I think he has probably some of the most haters I've ever seen.
Look, he does.
And I always wondered.
But he's still amazing, huh?
Yeah.
And I think
the guy's successful for a reason.
He's successful. He's a multi-billionaire guy. So I think he has proven a point, you know, and he's what he is. You know, he's not there to please people. So those who resonate with him, welcome to my world, welcome, and I hope I can get you reach out there where you want to reach as well. Who doesn't, you know, the door is right there. You're most welcome to go for other kind of philosophies or authors. He's not insisting. He's very successful, right? So basically, I learned so much with Tai Lopez, and what he does, he gets all those ideas, all those books he reads together, and he transforms into very clear language, and he gives several examples, you know, and you can see who his mentors are, you know, he's very successful, he's connected to celebrities day and night, so he must be doing something really right for himself. So I really appreciate Tai Lopez, and I really give him all the credit for so many things that are out there. Harv Eker is another one.
Yeah, he's a good one.
Yeah, so many, and currently I have other lines now. I'm watching a lot of things in Gaia, and Gaia is, for who doesn't know, it's a channel online that you subscribe, very affordable monthly subscription, and you get access to so much stuff in self-development. So for me now, I'm learning about energy, vibration, spirituality, and this complements a lot of my work.
Let's get into your book, because I know we're aware of time.
Yeah.
So you wrote a book, All the Secrets of Getting a New Job in Dubai.
Yes.
Unleashed, right? Why Unleashed? Just because basically...
Why Unleashed? Because, well, think this way, if there is a secret, how do you get to know about the secret unless somebody reveals it to you?
That's true.
So Unleashed meaning revealed.
Yeah. So I don't want to give away all the book because we want people to actually reach out and get it. But there's many chapters in here, 15 chapters as we did it. And how did you decide what to do for every chapter? It's like a sequence almost?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, basically it's a sequence of facts. I felt this way. So whoever is starting to look for a job, whether they know exactly what they want or whether they never stop to think, is that what I really want to do? Do I hate my job? Is that my passion? So how do you identify your passion if you haven't? To okay, now I know what I'm looking for, or I just want to continue doing what I'm doing. So how do I start looking for a job?
Okay.
You know, so then I walk through about the mindset. What's the mindset when you're looking for a job? Then of course I'll introduce LinkedIn. And for me, again, LinkedIn is very, very powerful tool. Everything I've done, I think, in my life, in my career, I would definitely give credit to LinkedIn.
Awesome.
If I have to summarize my book in only one word.
I think everyone will go to chapter 10.
Yeah.
So I think that's where everyone cares. How to negotiate salary. I think that's everyone's
that's
favorite.
a very tough one.
That's a very tough one.
That's a very, how do you negotiate salary is very important. How do you prepare for job interviews as well?
Oh yeah, that's definitely tough.
Because it's not about just researching about the company, but it's about what do those questions out there mean, like questions like where do you see yourself in 5 years time, or things like what do they actually want to know, you know. Basically questions are there, they can be questions that they have an intention to hear behind it, so how to understand. So I put 10 questions there.
Okay.
And answers.
Interesting. How did you go about research? How do you do the research for the book?
How I did the research for the
How
book.
you decide like every topic? How I just
Honestly, I swear to you, the only chapter that I researched
Okay.
was about salary negotiation.
Okay, the rest was from your experiences.
Everything else is from my mind. I
really
didn't search anything.
Really
You can see based on the language I speak, it's very casual. So I walk through people what I've done, whether as a job seeker, I job seeked many times in Dubai, 8 years here, and also as a headhunter. So I combined those two.
That's very interesting.
Yeah,
Because you have both sides.
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
Okay, yeah. So that's where you're giving your unique perspective on it.
Exactly.
All right, we're not gonna give away the book because I think hopefully we want people to buy it. I've been reading it actually because since you were nice enough to give me a copy, I think I'm about to hit chapter 4, which I'm actually really excited about chapter 4 because I really like LinkedIn.
Nice.
So I'm not gonna give anything away, but maybe we'll see how people like this podcast. Maybe we start doing a quick chapter by chapter breakdown in the other future podcasts.
I'd love to do that. I'd love to give out, and I'm sure that for those who appreciate, they might want to have the book with them at home and say, oh no, I always want to go back to what she spoke about, job interview preparation, for instance, because today you listen, you're fresh, then you know for the next few days, but sometimes you need to go back to it.
For sure.
So it's a way to go back to it. Or maybe you need to negotiate salary, you understood the concept, but you want to know more in depth. Then again, you have the book to go through it. And the good thing about the book is that you have very specific chapters.
Yes.
So if you say, today I'm not worried about what I'm looking for, I already know, or I already have job interview, I just want to prepare for the job interview, it's there. If you say, I'm already at the salary negotiation stage, how do I do that? How don't I lose the job by saying a number? The number could be, because if you give a number, you might give it too high, you might give it too low, and in both cases you lose.
Yeah, very true.
They will label. If you, for instance, let's say a person who's looking for a job, maybe they say, you know what, I don't care at the moment for salary, I just want to get the job. Unfortunately, they lose it. If they say, oh, now I'm looking for a change, for a self-promotion, they're going to put a salary that's too high, they also lose the opportunity.
That's true.
Even if they were flexible. Because the recruiter is not going to say, would you be flexible? No, it's like a little bit of a robotic system. Like you mentioned this number, so it's either too expensive or you're too cheap. And if you're too cheap, you don't have value. You're not good enough.
And if
you're
you're too
not as
expensive,
good
we
as I
can't
thought.
afford you.
So you cannot give the numbers. The message is you never give the numbers. And how do you do that?
Yeah,
so we can actually do a new podcast about it.
Yeah, that'll be pretty interesting. But first of all, thanks for the book. I can't wait to finish. I'm definitely probably going to finish today.
That's lovely.
I really enjoyed it. I like the way you write. It's the way I like to talk.
Thank you.
Any future books coming up? Are you working on anything in the future?
I do have something in mind. I just need to organize my time.
Okay.
But definitely I want to do more books. And I'm thinking about doing a book specifically for the executives, for the hidden jobs.
Okay, that'll be a good one. That'll be very interesting to read. That'll be very interesting because I think that's a world that most of us who are not executives have no idea exists. Like I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know until we spoke.
Exactly.
I didn't know that was a world.
Yeah, so basically something's going to be how to find the hidden jobs for the executives.
That's very interesting. Yeah. All right, cool. We're looking forward for that one. If people want to reach out to you, obviously LinkedIn is probably the best place, right?
Absolutely. Please, I'm very open for networking. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. Yeah. And happy to schedule.
Are you almost at, I think the LinkedIn space for connections 30,000?